What's going on, everyone? Alan here. So you're right now looking at an iMac G3, specifically my Indigo iMac G3. So a little backstory if you guys don't know. I am a collector of these older Macs, specifically from this era. So I have two of these iMac G3s, one slot loading green and this Indigo. I also have an iBook G3 clamshell, also an Indigo, and a Power Mac G4. I hope to increase that collection. In fact, honestly, I do want to collect all the colors of this iMac because this is the computer that kind of got me into tech in the first place. It's a long story, but basically, I never owned one of these, but when we finally got internet, I discovered it, really liked it, thought it was really cool, and then sent me down a rabbit hole. And now I own a M1 iMac, the one in purple that I unboxed, and it's, by the way, running fantastic. But I do want to show you guys this one because it is not only one of the first ones, but I also want to do some work on it because there is a few issues this iMac has. But first off, let's go ahead and talk about it. So this is a slot loading iMac G3. It's a Z500MHz model with 128 megabytes of RAM. I believe this is running Jaguar, if I'm remembering the numbering correctly, but it's either that or Puma. But yeah, as you can see, there are some files on it. Those are not my files. This came with the computer, and I'm going to get into why it's running this version of Mac OS, as well as, you know, why all the files are in there. But I do want to say that this is from a previous user. I'm not stupid enough to try installing iTunes 12 and a Snow Leopard update onto this. But it does have a 20 gigabyte hard drive, so I'm guessing it's the original. And yeah, I mean, it's pretty much box standard if you are familiar with iMacs. But let's go ahead and talk about some of the issues this machine has. So, first things first, and you'll notice this, of course, right when you first boot up the computer, something's up with the sound. Now again, I own another one of these iMacs. Yes, it's a tray loading, but still, I own one and its speakers are working just fine. I generally know how the speakers are supposed to sound in these, and I'm going to go ahead and put my lav mic up to the iMac and play some sounds and let you have a bit of a listen. Hopefully you're able to hear that. I might have to boost it in post, but yeah, something is going on with the speakers. It's very quiet. I think when I played a CD in this before, something was going on. I believe there was like no bass, but as well, not only was it very quiet, but there was absolutely no bass. But speaking of playing a CD, because that was sure fun, there's also something wrong with the optical drive. I believe you can put discs in it and it'll play, but ejecting the discs is a chore. I don't know if it's because something's up the alignment of the drive, or if the drive's just showing age and not wanting to eject anymore, but basically it's a nightmare trying to get CDs out. I believe when I got this machine, it actually did have a disc in it, some sort of like Jimi Hendrix disc that I gave my dad, but just a personal thing. I don't really care for classic rock, but I actually basically have to take a pair of like tweezers or something and get the disc out that way, which obviously isn't ideal. So my plan is to replace both the drive and hopefully the speakers. So you're probably asking, how am I going to do that? Am I just buying the parts? Well, I actually bought another iMac G3. Now, before you feel sorry for me, I kind of knew what I was getting myself into. The owner said it wasn't working. He tried getting it working, couldn't. He said he got repaired 4 years ago, and it was working for a little bit, then stopped working again. So, yeah, basically I took it home. Hoped I could get it working, but no matter what I did, nothing happened. Opened up the computer and realized that the logic board had a singe mark on it, a black singe mark. So something inside happened that completely fried the board, and it's not my expertise to diagnose it, and honestly trying to get to that board in the first place made me end up destroying a lot of the plastic. The inside border plastic of this machine is very brittle, especially as time goes on, so yeah, unfortunately I just had to basically turn to a shell and use the parts for whatever, and I'm hoping the disk drive from that and the speakers also will work in this. This drive should be very easy to replace. These speakers, we'll see. So yeah, hopefully I can get this video exported. By the way, I apologize for the line. I am using a different video app on my iPhone, but I messed with the settings as much as I could, but this is as good as I can get it. So anyway, let's go ahead and see if I can potentially disassemble this computer. Wish me luck. so I got reassembled, and yeah, already did a little bit of testing. I basically just tested the, make sure everything's powering on, and when I did that, well, let's take a look again. Before I did this, the speakers would not, you wouldn't hear a bong because the speakers just wasn't working properly. So let's turn it on now. I'm pretty sure you probably could hear that from the microphone, but as you can tell, everything is now working swimmingly. So I'm super happy about that. Now while this boots up, I did want to quickly show you the old speakers right here. So for those of you who don't know, it's very common for speakers in general, especially ones this age, to over the years experience something called dry rotting. So you can probably tell, but inside the wall here, let me see if I can focus in with this camera. There we go. So if you can tell that the inside of the wall right here is actually completely destroyed. And this one, it was actually popping out. So yeah, looked really crazy when I was first taking this out, but you can see it's just coming out on the camera. But as you can see, it's booted up. I do got a message down here. I did end up creating myself an account on here because before I didn't have one. So yeah, and ignore my cat. He's just being super curious. But there's one more thing I want to do, and this is probably going to freak him out, but that's fine. I'm going to shift my camera a little bit. There's one other thing I want to show. So again, I've listened to what the sounds generally sound like. It's generally Mac OS, but I actually haven't heard what music sounds like through it. So let's play something non-copyrighted. Dang iTunes. Oh my god, iTunes. Get out of here. And you're asking for connecting, it's not connecting the internet. iTunes has not changed. So that's lovely. If you didn't hear, there was a little bit of distortion when I turned the volume up slightly. Basically, as the bass is engaging, if that makes any sense, the speaker was starting to flap. At least the right one. The left one sounded alright and looked alright, but I could really see the right one just fluttering. So that one might be on its way out as well. Unfortunately, that's just how these things go. I can manually, find a set somewhere, but again, it's just a matter of time. And I don't really use this computer all that much for that reason. So, but there's one more test we have to do, because again, before I mentioned the disk drive had some issues. And I figured why not use something age appropriate, StarCraft. I got this from Goodwill a while back. Mainly picked this because this is a game that is very common. I don't really care if it gets destroyed, basically, is what I'm saying. But yeah, and it is a CD-ROM, I believe. Yep, CD-ROM, so it should work on this drive. I should preface that, yeah, the old drive, I can't tell if it was a combo drive or if it was just a CD-ROM or just a CD-ROM, but this now has just a plain Jane CD-ROM in it. So let's see if it works. And it does. Beautiful. But of course, that's just part of the equation. Haha. So it did finally show up, so let's go ahead and open it up. It was making a very odd noise at first, but that could just be the nature of the solid drive. Yeah, now this is a older Mac OS 9 game. Interesting. Oh yeah, I don't know if you heard that now. Okay, so I did have to hard restart the computer because it just wasn't cooperating properly, but the disk is still coming up, it's still spinning. So I'm gonna go ahead, first off, make sure I can close out this prompt. But let's see if I can eject the disk. Beautiful. Yep, no more scratches than it had before. So there we go. So far everything is great. Now, I don't know if I mentioned in this clip or not, or previous clips I should say, but one of the things I was very concerned about with the computer is opening it up because, again, the plastics in this are fairly brittle, and I was right to be a little concerned. So as you can see, everything's working just fine, and structurally everything seems fine, but when I was trying to put that metal cover back on the computer, I applied just a little bit too much force and did end up cracking some of the plastic on the inside, unfortunately. So again, that's just my dumb fault. I need to be more careful next time. But yeah, there was a plastic chunk that did fall into the computer. It's somewhere. I'm not going to worry about it though. As you can see, the computer does work still. I'm just going to be babying it more than I usually do. So yeah. But that's just something I wanted to keep in mind. Again, if you're going to work on these computers, please be very, very careful. It's one thing working on an old desktop like a iMac G5 where it's mostly metal, but this has a lot of plastic, and unfortunately the plastic is not held up over the years. So just wanted to kind of put a little PSA out there. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This has been Alan B, signing out.